Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video on the Mercedes-Benz GLE 350 DE Hybrid. Now this model is actually one of the ones I'm quite excited about, to be honest, because it's an amazing model as it is, but it's now got a hybrid in it. And a hybrid obviously meaning it has an engine and a battery. But the reason why I'm excited about it is because it actually has one of the biggest lithium-ion batteries you can get in a hybrid. So typically in Mercedes-Benz cars, hybrids can range, their actual range can range anything from 20 miles to 44 miles. This one will do 66, or up to 66. I would say up to just because it does depend on driving style and if you have your aircon on and if you encounter any traffic or anything. But that's a big deal. You can travel quite a distance on that. It is partly due to the large battery in this one. It's a 30.8 kilowatt hour battery. But we'll go through a few things as to how the boot size is affected with a big battery like that. And we'll go through a few extra things with the MBUX system and why a hybrid exists in the first place. But to start, let's go through the GLE itself. Now the Mercedes-Benz GLE has been around for a long time, but only very recently had a name change. It was formerly known as an ML and it came out in 1997. It featured your typical SUV with a high driving position and generous cargo space with extra ground clearance. And only very recently, just a few years ago, it changed from ML to GLE. But why the name change? Well, the reason behind that is due to a German word called Geländewagen, which basically means off-road utility vehicle, or as we know, SUV. So basically it's an off-road E-Class, so GL off-road E-Class. And the E-Class actually in 2016 featured those awesome widescreen cockpit, and this is what you see in the GLE today. So basically in Mercedes-Benz, if you see anything with GL, it means an SUV, and then the letter after that is kind of the car it's bumped up from. And fast forward to today, we now have a GLE 350 DE with the branding EQ Power. And EQ Power basically means it's a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Now, for those of you that watched last week's video, you probably heard me say at the very start there are big changes coming to the car industry in 2040, meaning you won't actually be able to buy a petrol or diesel car when that time comes. You will have to buy a fully electric vehicle. Now, technically speaking, that is 20 years away, so it's a long way away. But yes, you can buy an electric car today, but maybe you don't want to take that plunge. So this is why a hybrid comes in. It has the best of both worlds. So it has an engine and a battery. So an engine obviously being at the front under the bonnet, and then the battery under the floor here. And the way a hybrid works, typically as you drive around for the first part of your journey, when you first start off, you'll run on electric. In this car, obviously from about 60 to 66 miles, depending on how it's driven and traffic and aircon, anything like that. And after that, if you go any further than that, then the battery will obviously run out and then the engine will just come on automatically. And at which point then at your next place where you stop, you'll ideally plug in and then run on electric again and you start all over again. So boot space. Now boot space to me looks identical to a normal GLE, but what's actually quoted in the brochure is 630 litres down to 490. But it looks the same, and I reckon that that boot litre capacity also includes what's under the floor here, because obviously the battery needs to go somewhere, so the battery's under here, so this does not open. But on top, to me it looks exactly the same, so although it is less, I don't think any practical uses are lost from that, because of course you can fold the seats down, you can even do the middle one down here as well. So to me the boot space looks the same, but it's obviously just the space underneath which is lost, because obviously that's where the battery goes. On the left hand side we have the slow charge, which is also known as a 2.3 kilowatts cable. It will take around 11.5 hours to charge. On the right hand side there's a 7.2 kilowatt cable. This will take around 3.25 hours to charge. And of course then there's rapid charging as well. Rapid charging, also known as DC charging with a CCS connector. the GLE 350DE can actually receive up to 60 kilowatts of power. Although I couldn't find this charge time in the brochure, I worked it out. It's roughly around 45 minutes to complete that charge. Now, cost of charging is really easy to work out. You quite simply times the cost per kilowatt times the battery size. So if you don't know what you pay for electricity at home, the UK average is about 15 pence per kilowatt. So you quite simply do 0.15, so 15 pence, times the battery size, which is 30.8, and that will come out at £4.62. So £4.62 to fully charge the GLE 350DE. And if you so happen to have cheaper electricity at night time, maybe for an overnight tariff, then it'll be even cheaper than that. Now, Mercedes-Benz are also introducing a service called Mercedes Me Charge, which basically is an RFID card and is completely free to sign up for, but it allows you to use up to 130,000 charge points all under one roof. So if you're not familiar, when you visit a public charge point, there's one actually just down the road. You actually have to sign up for an app to use that charge point. And if you visit a different charge point that's provided by a different charging company, you have to sign up for their app and then put your details on their system too. Mercedes Me Charge is designed to have one app and one contract all over one roof, so it saves you having to sign up multiple times and have multiple apps. I'll be covering this in the future on Mercedes Me Charge, so if you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notification, you'll be notified when I upload that video. I aim to do it in the next couple of months or so keep an eye out. And there we go guys, that brings this week's video to an end. So if you have any questions or comments or even suggestions for future videos, leave them down below in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer, and I might even consider your suggestion for a future video. Now, if you want to check out any one of these videos on the screen now, I've already done a video on the A250E and EQC, so click on those if you fancied watching about them. Until next time, we'll see you all then.